Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Ram Jai Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Yes. What is to be shared?
What you have brought is
No, this is for evening.
really waiting.
This is for evening.
Ultimate gift you were told yesterday. We are waiting for that. You told yesterday we are waiting.
Evening.
Evening, we didn't know. If you go to ultimate gift tomorrow, we will
You will disturb. Somebody can ask.
I give hand, I thought you are going to do.
No. As we said, this is a wonderful book. It touches and kindles so many positive thoughts. We may not even recognize many things listed as gifts. Gift of work, gift of money, gift of friends, gift of learning, gift of problems, gift of family, gift of laughter, gift of dreams, gift of giving, gift of gratitude, gift of a day, gift of love, and then the ultimate gift. A young man who was respected, leading a life of a parasite, somebody learning, not from their own. So his uncle. So this young uncle was he had a big empire. So when he passed away, he left a will. So many of his direct relations got something. And this nephew was also eagerly waiting. What is my share? His name was not mentioned at all. So he was thoroughly disappointed, dejected, despaired, became angry, frustrated. But then the attorney said, yes, in your case you have given. You have to go through a journey. If you are interested, you can join. But if you successfully go through the journey, at the end you will be given the ultimate gift. He was not charmed, but still when he knew that something will be given, with great reluctance, he started the journey with them. Every month, it was all taped. The person who has left or who died, he has left a videotape, and for every month he gives a task. He comes in the video, the deceased uncle comes in the video, gives him the task. And when we all go through the task, we find these are all the ones. Gift of work. A journey may be long or short, but it must start at the very spot one finds oneself. This is another clue. Beginning. This is how he started. A journey may be long or short, but it must start at the very spot one finds oneself. Not for tomorrow, not from day after tomorrow. Today, now. Then only every journey should start right now. Voice from the past. In the end, a person is only by the impact they have on others. A person is known only by the impact they have on others. Gift of work. He who loves his work never labors. He who loves his work never labors. That means he will not feel the rigor or he will be free at the same time. He is the one, he who loves his work never labors. Gift of money. Money is nothing more than a tool. It can be a force for good, a force for evil, or simply be idle. Gift of friends. It's a wealthy person indeed who calculates riches not in gold but in friends. Gift of learning. Education is a lifelong journey whose destination expands as you travel. That is real education. Education is a lifelong journey whose destination expands as you travel. It is always a comma, never a full stop. Even at the time, that's something you can learn. Gift of problems. Problems may only be avoided by exercising good judgment. Good judgment may only be gained by experiencing life's problems. Problems may only be avoided by exercising good judgment. Good judgment may be gained only by experiencing life's problems. So it is inevitable. Gift of family. Some people are born into wonderful families. Others have to find or create them. Being a member of a family is a priceless membership that we pay nothing for but love. Gift of laughter. Laughter is a good medicine for the soul. Our world is desperately in need of more medicine. Gift of dreams. Imagination. Faith is all that dreamers need to see into the future. gift of giving. The only way you can truly get more out of life for yourself is to give part of yourself away. The only way you can truly get more out of life for yourself is to give part of yourself away. It's not somebody's, that is, you apply it in the spiritual level. We cannot give anything to Almighty, because everything is His. What is it that we can give? If we give our sense of individuality, part of yourself away. That is the real gift of giving. Gift of gratitude. In those times we yearn to have more in our lives. We should dwell on the things we already have. In doing so, we will often find that our lives are already full to overflowing. Gift of a day. Life at its essence boils down to one day at a time. Today is the day. No postponing, no procrastination. Life at its essence boils down to one day at a time. Today is the day. Gift of love. Love is a treasure of which we can never pay. The only way we keep it is to give it away. The only way we keep love is to give it away. In the end, life lived to its fullest is its own ultimate gift. Life lived to its fullest is its own ultimate gift. So the journey is...
I have read this book, I could understand. You are not read, not able to understand anything else from all your techniques.
That is how they...
Internet only is good.
That is how they will start, Because it is there. Somebody said, when it was given, we never know that life a gift of problem, gift of work. Otherwise, we would have heard so many things. Even money is a gift. And all these things were not given a lecture. We were made to pass through a series of exercises. As spiritual aspirants, we should know hearing or reading will not help us. We have to go through that exercise. Only that exercise enables us to graduate to the next level. Otherwise, it just becomes a theory. So this ultimate gift, this book, gives us this point. Until and unless we go through that experience, however much we may hear or say, those who are reading, they must have had undergone so many similar situations. With them they can easily connect. So anything, anything that we hear or read will not have any impact, excepting during that particular time. But actually the real benefit will come only when we go through same or similar exercise. Any exercise will give us some learning. And here we have one more plus point, Papa's assurance, that mysteriously God will step in and give us the direction from within and from without. Nobody will be able to say like this only or like this only. But it will come. The only price tag is it should be free from me and mine of any time. If it is spontaneous, if it is for the welfare of others, 100%, not 99. The guidance will come every day. You don't have to evaluate and say this is gain, this is loss, this is plus, this is minus. You are just prompted to pass. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you have the satisfaction. God gave you a wonderful opportunity to do that. Some homework everyone has to do, Are we doing any homework in the ashram? The blunt question. We are hearing so many from Papa's words. Are we going deeper into it? Now, for example, when we hear the poem, I find him everywhere. We will say, oh, Papa, we are using his mind. What is the godliness there? We are walking. What is the godliness there? Some research we should do, Some within we have to do. Otherwise, we will not derive the fullest benefit. If we take Papa's words and then try to understand Papa's or any Mahatma's words. When he says the air we breathe, all of us breathe the same air. We can list out what are. That will be a journey where the me and mine will get reduced. Probably that is the only way to get reduced. During our off hours, we must try and go through this. We say in so many kirtans, bhajans, satsang, Mahatma's words, that he is there, animated, inanimate, he is there. How do I understand? That is his word. Today morning you are sharing, you take a cup of water, then start thinking about it. How am I to understand? Then suddenly we put salt. The salt loses its identity, individual identity, but it spreads everywhere there. The salt, what you call saltness. It becomes salty, the entire water becomes salty in the same measure. Something is there for us to learn, Godliness, what is that? When you lose your identity, you become all-pervading. When you keep yourself a separate individual, you will never become all-pervading. But the moment you lose your identity, you become all-pervading. This is how, so God teaches us through that water. So whenever we see water, we may not remember. But this will definitely help us. Slowly. And we are habituating ourselves to look at everything and see the godliness. Firstly, we may not say a God, godliness. Somewhere you are doing, especially ashram is a place where we are free from all other challenges. So when we are here, intense study, it can be in any way. There should be an intensity to go within and without. Every time we say, now and here. What does that mean? We should ask, What is that now and here? Where from we are getting it every day? Adorable presence. Adorable presence. Thou who art within and without, below and above, and all and everywhere. You are the eye, thou art the eye of the eye, ear of the ear, heart of the heart, mind of the mind, soul of the soul, breath of our breath. Then, blessed dear God among us. To be aware of thy presence now and here. Stop. What are we doing to become now and here? We cannot expect God to come and take us and give us. We know that. So then with one word we try to go, to above and below and all around. How do I understand? When I go deeper and deeper, I understand, yes, it is true. It is the air that goes within me, that makes me what I am. And it is the air that is up, above, below, around me. Because everybody has the same air. Everybody is floating in the same air. And when that air, that prana is withdrawn from his body, he becomes dead. Then eye of the eye, which I don't know. Like that, we have to go, Some homework. Apart from attending some programs in the ashram, some homework to feel His presence within. Otherwise, it becomes an activity, that's all, to be very frank. So when he says about the ultimate gift, each gift he is prompting him to go through that. By putting him on the field, throwing him in the field, that is what. I think one example will be, I don't know whether I will help you. So Jason is the nephew, okay? The attorney, whenever somebody leaves a will, somebody will leave an attorney, to execute the will. So here the lawyer and the secretary, Hastings. These are all our players. The following day, Jason, Miss Hastings and I mean the attorney, gathered in the conference room for our monthly meeting. Every month he has to come and report. So this is the 8th month. Okay? Which was becoming a welcome ritual for me. We sat in our established places. I was lost in thoughts of what the next month might bring as Miss Hastings started the videotape. Red Stevens is the person who died, the uncle of Jason. He came in the video. He greeted us, hello, and congratulations on learning the value of the gift of problem. The previous one was gift of problem. That lesson will serve you. He is addressing to the nephew. That lesson will serve you well all the days of your life. You are now entering the 6th month of our 1-year remedial lesson in life. This month, you will begin to understand and respect the gift of family. Now, Jason, I realize that our family is about as messed up as a family can be. And I accept my full share of responsibility for that. However, the best or the worst family situation can teach us a lesson. We either learn what we want, or unfortunately we learn what we don't want in life from our families. Out of all the young men in the world, I have selected you. I have asked Mr. Hamilton, the attorney, to undertake this monumental task on my behalf for you, because you are my great nephew. It is hard to understand why that means something, but I want you to know that it does. Families give us our roots, our heritage, our past. They also give us the springboard to our future. Nobody directly comes from the sky and starts his life. Hardly we recognize all these things, Nothing in the world is stronger than the bond that a family can form. That is a bond of pure love that will withstand any pressure as long as the love is kept in the forefront. It is important for you to realize that families come in all shapes and sizes. Some very blessed people are able to live their whole life as a part of the family they were born into. Other people like you, Jason, through a set of circumstances, are left without a family other than in name. Those people have to go out and create a family. I know this seems odd to you, but by the end of this month, I believe you will begin to understand what I am trying to tell you. This month, you, Mr. Hamilton, and Miss Hastings will be going on another trip. You will be meeting people who seem to have no family, and in this way, I am hoping you will learn the value that a family can provide. At the end of this month, I will ask you to demonstrate to Mr. Hamilton that you know and understand what the gift of family means. This is how every month he is pushing. Mr. Hamilton has all the details of your trip, and assuming you accomplish this objective, I will talk to you next month. Jason turned to me and said, I don't suppose you are going to tell me where we are going, what we are going to do, or what we are going to do, or who we are going to meet, are you? I smiled and said, all in good time, young man. I have been instructed to tell you only what you need to know. When and only when you need to know it. That yesterday we found that extra curiosity. Extra curiosity will puncture your entire energy. But the moment you are there on that spot, you find inexplicable energy coming out of it. You exhaust, in thinking about so many things. Miss Hastings interrupted. I believe we have made arrangements to pick you up at your home at 7:30 in the morning. You see how they have arranged everything. We will be traveling several hours by automobile. Please be prepared to stay 1 month in a similar climate to that which we are enjoying here in Boston. The next morning, Miss Hastings and I were comfortably installed in the back of large limousine, driven by a very large gentleman, selected especially for this mission. We pulled up in front of Jason's palatial home, which his great uncle had purchased for him via a trust fund. Our driver got out, went to the front door to collect Jason and his luggage. A few moments later, I saw the chauffeur easily carrying both of Jason's suitcases in one hand, leading Jason towards the car. Jason seemed a bit timid around the giant, and when the back door was open to let Jason in, he appeared relieved to be in the company of Miss Hastings and me. Jason said, who in the world is that huge guy? Miss Hastings replied, oh, you mean nothing. He is a very nice young man selected especially for this trip. What does that mean? Jason asked. Miss Hastings just smiled, sipped a cup of coffee. I turned, shook hands with Jason, greeting him. Good morning, Jason. All will come clear at the appropriate time. For now, I suggest you sit back, relax. I will tell you some of the details as we approach our destination. We just travel. This is the thing. What is to be provided at what time, God decided. We enjoyed a beautiful drive out of Boston, across eastern Massachusetts and New Hampshire. As we turned north along the coast, I began to explain our trip to Jason. Before too long, we will be entering the state of Maine, M-A-I-N-E, Maine. We will travel several miles into a private forest, and we will arrive at the Red Stevens Home for Boys. The person who has left the will, he has got an orphanage there, where you will be a substitute house parent for the next month. This will give the resident house parent an opportunity for a well-deserved vacation. Somebody was there, yesterday. And will give you an opportunity to get very well acquainted with 36 boys, ranging in age from 6 to 16. Jason stared at me. I thought I was supposed to be learning about family. How in the world did that old man think that I would learn about family from a bunch of orphans? I responded, that old man, as you so eloquently put it, started this place over 30 years ago and has funded it ever since. He knew it inside and out, and I am sure the lesson he has planned for you can be found there. I just hope for your sake you can keep an open mind and find it. Jason mumbled, well, it doesn't make any sense to me. I said, nevertheless, you are in for a unique month to say the least. As your great uncle made me the chairman of the board of this institution upon his death, Miss Hastings and I will spend the month working in the office, dealing with some of the donors and seeing to next year's budget. A few moments later, we drove off the main highway onto Gravelside Road. We passed a rustic sign reading, Red Stevens Home for Boys. Several moments later, our excellent driver Nathan guided the limousine to a stop in the middle of a courtyard surrounded by several buildings, including a dining commons, a dormitory, a classroom building, a gymnasium, and an administrative building. Nathan got out of the limousine, opened the rear door for the three of us to get out. As we were getting the luggage out of the trunk, the door to the dormitory burst open, and an entire herd of young boys rushed to Nathan, began to mob him. He picked several of them up in the air, hugged several more, clapped hands with still others. They were all calling his name, seemed to be terribly excited to see him. Finally, the enthusiastic greeting seemed to be over, when Nathan said in a tone that would be hard to ignore, he said, "Now men, let us get into our dormitory. Make sure everything is paid away, because we have a new house parent here for the month." The boys responded immediately, rushed back into the dormitory, Nathan somehow carrying all the luggage at once, without seeming to be burdened down, led us into the dormitory. There were 2 rows of bunks lining each wall with lockers in between. Nathan dropped Jason's luggage onto the first bunk and said, "Welcome home. This will be your place for the next 30 days. Mr. Hamilton and Miss Hastings will be staying in the private apartments connected to the administration building." Nathan turned back to Jason and said, "I would suggest you get unpacked, settle down. You have a lot of catching up to do." We all agreed to meet in the dining room in approximately 20 minutes. Nathan showed Miss Hastings and me to the 2 comfortable apartments adjoining the administrative building. At the agreed upon time, we were all seated at the end of a long table in the dining hall. Several dozen boys streamed in, sat at what appeared to be assigned places. They were talking excitedly, seemed to be curious about us as a group of outsiders gathered at the end of our table. After several moments, Nathan stood to his full height, which was indeed impressive. I estimated at least 6 feet 8 inches. At that point, the boys were silent. Nathan spoke. "Boys, as you know, your house parent, Brad, will be on vacation for the next month. Jason Stevens will be filling in for him." Nathan turned to Jason and said, "Stand up, Jason." Jason stood slowly, and the chorus of young boys said, "Hey, Jason." Jason cleared his throat and smiled. "Hey." Jason sat back quickly. Nathan resumed his address to the young boys. "Also, Mr. Hamilton and Miss Hastings will be with us for the next month. Some of you will remember them being here during our board of directors visit with Mr. Stevens. They are very fine people. We are lucky to have them." Then Nathan bowed his head, gave thanks for the food. All the boys followed suit, were polite, respectful throughout the meal. As we enjoyed our lunch, Jason asked Nathan, "Have you been here before?" Nathan laughed and responded, "You better believe it. The first time I came here, I was smaller than the smallest kid at this table. I was in and out of a few foster homes, but when I think of the good things from my childhood, they all happen here." "Do you work here now or something?" Nathan laughed in a low tone, with yes and no. "I guess people would think of my main job as being the tight end for the New England Patriots, but as soon as the season's over, I do whatever I can to be useful around here." Jason seemed shocked. "I'm sorry, I thought you were just a limo driver." Nathan responded, "Well, today I am, and proud to do it. Tomorrow I may be the head maintenance man or disciplinarian here. One of the things we learned from Red Stevens was, when I was growing up, is that we all do what needs to be done because it is the right thing to do." Jason asked, "What? Well, Well, what am I supposed to do here? Nathan responded, I believe Mr. Stevens' instructions through Hamilton were to let the boys help you figure out what you are supposed to do here. So if they are done eating, I will take Hamilton and Miss Hastings to the administration building to discuss next year's budget and let your lesson begin. Beyond that, he will not say anything. Nathan slapped Jason on the back with a giant hand, led Miss Hastings and me from the dining room building. As we were passing through the door, I heard Jason calling to us, Look, I don't have a clue here. I have never been around any kids. The young boys around the table all erupted into laughter, which could be heard as we walked across the courtyard and into the administration building. For the next month, Miss Hastings and I did all the legal and budgetary work required for the coming year. We did have several opportunities each day to look in on Jason, and Nathan told us he would keep us informed. For the first several days, Jason seemed like a stranger, but eventually he settled into his duties as father, as brother, as teacher, and friend to 3 dozen boys. On the last day, as Nathan was loading our luggage into the limousine, each of the boys came out, one at a time, to tell Jason goodbye. Hugs were exchanged, few tears were shed. Jason received a number of gifts which would be considered exceedingly valuable to young boys. I noticed several oddly shaped rocks, a 4-leaf clover, and a narrow head, among others. As Nathan drove us out of the courtyard along the gravel driveway, Jason was turned in the seat, waving to the boys until they were out of sight. We sat in silence until we were all well along the highway back to Boston. Finally, Jason spoke. You know what is amazing? Not one of those boys has a family, but each of them knew more about a family than I did. I think family is not as much about being related by blood as it is about relating through love. I think family is not as much about being related by blood as it is about relating through love. The limousine horn honked. Nathan let out a blood-curdling yell. I'm sure serves him well on the football field. He shouted, You finally got it. I thought you were pretty useless when you got there, but I knew that if you were related to Red Stevens, we had a chance. You see, you come from a great family, and so do I. So this is how the journey starts. No talking, no briefing. You are not forming a concept. Think about it, no? This is very important. Yesterday you were telling me, jump into the sea, no? Then we will learn. We will learn to enjoy, we will learn how to survive, we will to earn, we will learn how to cross, but not a lecture from the banks. So here we find that when you want to learn the gift of a family, nothing is given, so that you don't form any concept. In spirituality, our major hurdle is we are forming concepts. And the concept is always away. Let us not have concepts. Let us put it, let us be on the process. The process will give us the learning. This is the message throughout. 2-3 messages we are trying to understand through this book. One is what is spirituality? Good human relationship. Goodness is godliness. Until we put ourselves in the field, we will never learn. Learning in the real sense. Intellectual learning will be there. Even reading this book. But after reading this book, suppose we connect it with our life. When no concept forming, anything we have to learn by experience. When Swamiji came here as Ananda Shivan, he thought, spirituality means contemplative life. When he came here, took initiation, then later on he came and joined. Naturally, people, the inner alignment is, for activities, divinized activities, which he did not know. So naturally, he got into a lot of activities. If you remember, Swamiji told us that the first work he had to be, the whole Yogashala account was in a mess. So many things to be, borrowings are there, sales are there. So many things were, they were not in proper form. So the first job we have to do is to set right the accounts of the Yogashala. Like that, one by one, we started doing it. Suddenly, after 6 or 7 months, he suddenly realized, I have not come here to do this. So he went and told Papa, I don't want to get into activities. You see, yes, Steven, same attitude of Papa. Oh, okay. Then you go to Himalaya, Rishikesh. Stay there separately. Never in an ashram. Independent. Take sannyas. Ramdas will give you clothes. Ramdas will give you a name also if you want. Swamiji said, I was taken aback. I have never thought about it. Anyhow, it was suggested by Papa, so arrangements were made. And he went there. Literally, he was in solitude. For 7 to 8. Then Papa's telegram goes, this time Ramdas and Krishna Bhai are planning to go out for 2-3 months. We are not taking anybody except you if you are willing. So, Swamiji said, I was excited. I joined them at Bangalore. Joined their tour. Naturally, apart from the personal secretarial work for Papa, noting down his speeches, arranging the programs, or listing it out, assisting Mataji for cooking Papa's food, Papa's bed, so many things. And he came back, they came back after the tour. As soon as he came, my job is over, I have to go back again. Papa was really, testing him. So at that time, according to him, spirituality means contemplative life. Papa did not give a lecture that God is here, God is everywhere, you don't have to go, nothing. No concept forming. He said, okay, you can go tomorrow. Then, as we have explained many a time, finally Mataji intervened and Mataji said, why should you go? And Papa, Swamiji said, Guru has permitted to go. Then he said, these things you should not ask Guru. If Papa asks you to get married, will you get married? That was the last straw, Swami said. So these are things which we should not ask anybody. Big lesson for all of us. Big lesson for all of us. Everything we expect, to be told by somebody. No. These are all the things which should come from within. Mataji only said that. Then he decided not to go. He went and told Papa, I am not going, Papa. Then also he said, okay. So Papa made him to think about all these things, bring out the answer from himself. He made him to undergo the contemplative. He did not discourage him. And again he was tempted to go. By that time, the experience has taught him. If God is there in solitude, God is also there in the crowd. If God is there in Haridwar, God is here also. If God is there in somebody else, God is there in the person here also. Like that, so many things. It's not a... Suppose we give a lecture, we form a concept. You will never be able to move towards that. That is the technique employed by Red Stevens. This 11 months he made him to go through. And he comes out, Did he give any lecture about family? No. But Jason, when he was there, goodness is there in everybody, You know what is amazing? That also these people did not ask to evaluate. He himself comes and says, not one of those boys has a family. But each of them knew more about a family than I did. I think family is not as much about being related by blood as it is about relating to love. This wonderful lesson. He was with them for 1 month. The more he started taking care, all those things we have to infer, nothing has been mentioned. How they became one with him, how he became one with them. Totally a stranger. You remember the last word he said, look, I don't have a clue here. I have never been around any kids. Nobody gives him any lecture. They are orphans, you have to give them love, they will be starving for love. Nothing. You are pushed. The door was locked. And see the tremendous change. The basic is love. Unconditional love. When the boy poured, when he poured, there was an ocean of love. And he knew the real meaning of a family. Family life bereft of love is not a family life at all. We may be a part of the family, that's all. Just to say our name. So Bappa took his spiritual life. He gave equal regard for his Purvashram family. That is why we remember many of their, otherwise how will we know? And when he said it's only an expansion in which the old family is also there. We have to, every time when we go through it, we are looking for an answer from somebody else. No. It will not help, bluntly. Others can help only to some extent to just kindle, But the aperture has to open from within. And we have to go through that. And that gives us tremendous learning. Tremendous means and first-hand learning. It is not somebody says, it is your own learning. Every gift, very touching. He says about gifts also. Gift of learning. Everything, he doesn't give any lecture, but after the 30 days, the cream comes out from Jason. Today evening we will read Gift of a Day. So this is the message Papa gives us through ultimate gift. We have to do the homework. Everyone has to do something every day. Going within. What has been heard. He has provided, he has facilitated. If it has to become mine, I must do something. Until that is not there, I have only academic knowledge, textual knowledge. That will not help me. When we read a biographical sketches of many Mahatmas, we try to learn this. Just we were remembering that Kurur incident where Gandhiji and the entourage went there at about 3 o'clock. Everybody was hungry. The place where there was a circuit house or something, government house, where meals have been provided. Everybody had meal, and then they were tired because they had been traveling for a long time, so they all wanted to have some rest. After some time, one of them checked up where is Bapuji. He was not seen in his seat. So he went out. Then he saw. But immediately after these people have eaten, they have thrown the leaf out. Gandhiji was picking. He dug a small pit and picking up each and every leaf and putting it in it. Immediately this person rushed up, apologized. He called everybody. Gandhiji had it. Someone has to do it. That's all. Straight away action. No? Why we still remember that? No? Because it was not a theory. He became one with everybody, so somebody has to do it, he did it, that's all. There was no otherness, so there was no grumblings or complaints, fault finding was not there. So many things Gandhiji taught us without any single word. And God will give us opportunities like this. Would you remember? Unless we do it, it becomes texture for us. We must do our. There is no question of watching it. We must do. Similarly, whatever we have gathered, we must, in order that it becomes stamped in our heart, it should be followed by our involving into it. Otherwise, no. So this is a wonderful message given by the author Jim Stovall through this ultimate gift. The first scene. Red Stephen was a self-made man who gave his family everything and ruined them in the process. Because, he gave them everything. Their own initiative was plugged. Now, as his estate of oil companies and cattle ranches is divided among greedy and self-serving relatives, one member is singled out for something special. Red's great nephew Jason, in a darkened room, isolated from the rest of his family, Jason is confronted by the image of his deceased great uncle on a video monitor. He says, Jason, I lived my life in a big way. I had a lot of big accomplishments. I made a lot of big mistakes. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made was when I gave everyone in our family everything that they thought they ever wanted. It took me many years to figure out that everything we will ever do or know or have in this life is a gift from the good Lord. He has a special plan for each of us. God has a special plan for each of us. And He has provided everything we need to fulfill that plan. I spent many years trying to achieve happiness or buy it for friends and family. Only as an old man did I come to learn that all happiness comes from the gifts that God has given us. Unfortunately, the money and possession I spread around did not help people to understand the gifts that have been provided for us. In trying to make up for all the time that I was not there, I gave them all material things. In doing so, I robbed them of everything that made my life wonderful. You may be the last vestige of hope in our family. Although your life to date seems to be a sorry excuse for anything that I would call promising. There does seem to be some spark of something in you. I am hoping we can capture and fan it into a flame. So begins a 12-month quest for purpose and meaning in an empty life, as Jason attempts to complete the task, to acquire, to receive Red Stephen, greatest bequest, the ultimate. Hands off to the writer, the way which I put it. About the author. In spite of blindness, totally blind, Jim Stovall has been a national champion Olympic weightlifter, a successful investment broker, and entrepreneur. He is co-founder and president of a narrative television network which makes movies and television accessible to our nation's 13 million blind and visually impaired people and their families. 13 million. You can more than a crore. Oh. Although originally designed for the blind and visually impaired, over 60% of NTN's nationwide audience is made up of fully sighted people who simply enjoy the programming. Narrative Television Network. Jim Stovall hosts the network's talk show, NTN Showcase. His guests have included so many people. The narrative television has received an Emmy Award. NTN has grown into over 1,200 tables. Jim Stovall joined the ranks of Walt Disney, Orson Welles, and 4 United States presidents when he was selected as one of the 10 outstanding young Americans by the U.S. Junior Chamber of Commerce. He has appeared on Good Morning America and CNN, has been featured in Reader's Digest, TV Guide, Time Magazine. He is the author of previous books entitled You Don't Have to Be Blind to See Success, Secrets of Superachievers. The President Committee of Equal Committee selected Jim Stovall as the 1997 Entrepreneur of the Year. He joined notables as former President Jimmy Carter, former First Lady Nancy Reagan, Mother Teresa, when he received the International Humanitarian Award. In spite of blindness. So many from this. In the evening session we will try to read the gift of, what I said? Gift of it. Your everyday passes, Hardly we recognize the gift of it today, So God has planned for us, God has given us so many gifts. We are unaware of the gifts. We are grumbling and complaining, missing away. That is all free, Papa is guiding us to understand where we are going. Have clarity on the life to be given. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Ram. Shri Ram.